Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Hello and welcome to this latest Rider Ramblings. It's Friday morning. It's early, about 7:30, just after. Hadn't turned my spots on. I was wondering why. Accident there. I wasn't quite as noticeable to the blue van. They're on now. So hopefully it will be no more noticeable. Had to change the headlight bulb, the low beam bulb on the bike. And I have a Xenon in here because the lens on the Deauville, the NT700, is appalling. There's absolutely nothing wrong with the bulb, it's just that the reflector and the lens are really badly designed. High beam is fine, it works really well, but the design of the low beam is pretty awful. And so I put the Xenon on. Got a biker coming through, and it has lasted a very long time, maybe about it's more than that. It's probably about 7 years, something like that. Yeah, I would say 7 years, which is pretty good going, I would say, for a bulb. And it's done probably about 120,000 kilometers, maybe 75,000 miles. Now the Xenon lights are really good in traffic because they're noticeable, they're very noticeable. But if you're not riding in traffic and you have a Deauville, I would say don't bother, because they don't really provide any extra light. They're just a different type of light, so make the motorcycle more noticeable in traffic situations. So I would go with a night breaker or something like this, one of the brighter Philips bulbs, and because quite simply changing the bulb was an absolute nightmare. What should take me 5 minutes, yes, 5 minutes to change the bulb, just taking the cover off there, popping the connector off and dropping the bulb in. My hands are just about the right size to get in there. If they were any bigger, I wouldn't be able to do it without taking bodywork off and so on. But I'm actually able to get in, no problem. And so it should have taken me all of 5 minutes. Well, with the Xenon, because it has extra connectors and so on, I'd given myself half an hour to do it. It actually took 1.5 hours to do the change. It was a nightmare, it really was. I had a problem with one connector, it just wouldn't release from the plug, it just not at all. And in the end I had to pull the connector off and then pick it all out of the plug and all of that. But and I ended up taking all this dash surround off, which includes the pockets and so on. So I mean, that only takes 5 minutes to take the pockets off. I actually do it not quite every time I clean the bike, but probably about once a month, and clean underneath. Yes, I am a bit OCD, I'm afraid. And So it only takes 5 minutes. There's an Allen screw here, 2 screws at the back, and 1 down there, and then there's a bolt down by the steering head, and everything just pops off and so on. But it actually did end up taking me, as I say, much longer than I expected to do the job. So yes, I would. If you're not riding in town, if it's something that you don't do, not riding in a city, you're not lane splitting a lot, then I would recommend going for one of the Philips night breakers. Keep to the correct wattage. The 55 watts. Don't go over the top of that, otherwise the police will be not very happy with you. And that will do, and it will give you, about the same amount of light as I get from the from my Xenon. So that's that. I was listening to Stuart Fillingham, and he's an ex-bobby. He is an ex-policeman, although he left the force some time ago. And he was saying on his YouTube video that the police are in desperate need of revenue, because with the confinement, with the quarantine, they've lost a lot of their normal revenue. And so be very wary if you're out and about, because they'll need to be giving you fines so that they can rebuild their coffers, because they and he was saying a memo will probably be going round to all of the police, telling them that money is required, and that they should, how can we put this politely, maximize the opportunity for gaining revenue, which I think basically means make sure you give out a lot of fines. So if you're out and about on your bike this weekend, or when's the bank holiday? Next weekend, is it? I think it's next weekend. Yep, next weekend's the bank holiday, if I remember rightly. I might be wrong. I can't remember, because I know in France the bank holiday is next weekend, but their dates are not the same as in the UK. So yes, so if you're out and about, just bear in mind that they will be looking to maximize their revenue, which is not what policing is about. And to me, I think that's appalling that the police have had to descend to that sort of level. And it's not a case of them being police anymore, it's a case of them being tax collectors, which is not their job. It's definitely not their job. So I'm not impressed with that one. Stuart goes into a bit more detail about what the police, the revenue, how the fines work for the police and things like this. So it's not something I know a lot about. I was just, as I say, listening to his channel, and I'm just passing on the information. So if you're going out the bank holiday weekend, or this weekend, or any weekend, just bear in mind that they will be increasing their fines. And he was saying at one point that some people who were on the bike safe or whatever it is courses were actually saying that they hadn't actually done anything wrong, but the police, they weren't able to prove they hadn't done anything wrong, and so they had to accept the police's word for it, even though they weren't over the speed limit and they weren't driving dangerously or whatever. It was just a case of the police hadn't made sufficient money from fines, and so we're just picking on easy targets. Yeah. So if you don't wear a helmet cam, I would recommend you get one. So if the police stop you, they are less inclined to give you a fine for something you haven't done or whatever, because you will be able to prove that you haven't done it with the helmet camera. I use the Xenon SC10. I'll put a link in the description below so you can see which one it is. Very, very easy to use. The battery though is about 45 minutes for the camera, but you can plug it in to and it will record while it's charging, so you can do that, and it just fits on the side of the helmet so you don't look like a Teletubby. And that's one of the problems I actually have with the GoPro. I have a GoPro, I use it, but if you attach it to a helmet you tend to have the appearance of a Teletubby, which is in my opinion not very good. Right, let's see what nightmares have happened at this roundabout. Because it's beside a petrol station, they tend to drop quite a lot of fuel on the road starting about here. It looks okay, can't really see, so you have to take it a bit carefully, sorry. Must actually learn to speak English, would be helpful. You have to take it a bit more carefully. So, thank you for watching. Leave any comments in the notes below, in the comments below, please. I'd be interested to hear from you. And keep yourself safe, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.